7 terms, any sort of marginal challenge to us. So thank you for all of that. It's been an honor to serve you. It's a tough time there. That's not the reason I'm quitting. I'm 72 years old. I got 7 kids and 3 kids, and I got a wife that's working your days off the calendar right now. it's like, okay, I guess I gotta get out of here. But it's been a true honor, and I'm excited to be able to retire with my health yet and be ready to enjoy my retirement. That being said, I'm excited about Kurt Schaefer stepping up to fill my shoes. I think he'll do a fantastic job. It's a crazy place there in DC. You need somebody with integrity, somebody that's got a spine, somebody that will say no and stand up and push back against a lot of folks. Sometimes these people in their own party. You got to do the right thing for the right reason, and they all work out in the end. But this guy can do that. He's shown that with the life he's led, with his service in the Senate, and his service since then. I'm behind him 110%. We go on my district work pretty week. We're taking Kurt with us and go out to try and meet other folks in the district to try and get that network built up. And this is what I asked all of you to do today. Talk to your friends and neighbors. This is going to be about name ID. Yeah, we know him here, but if you know somebody else in the district, we got to get that name ID up so that whenever they go in and see the names on the ballot, they'll mark Kurt Schaefer, because they've got to know that there's a difference between this guy and his major opponent, who doesn't live in the district, by the way. I just call him Carpetbagger Bob, because that's all he has. That's a really, really big deal if people realize he actually was in the district, and once your district was done, and he screwed it all up, he then moved out. So he knows exactly where he is. This was no surprise, and now he wants to run again. He can't even vote for himself, but he wants you to vote for him. Think about that for a second. Anyway, he's a leftover from years gone by. This guy is a fresh breath of fresh air that's going to do a great job for us. I'm excited to endorse him. He has my full support. We're doing everything we can to try and get across the finish line. Ladies and gentlemen, the next Congressman was there, Kurt Schaefer.
Thank you. First, I want to thank John Ruth. This place is beautiful, and he's my treasurer, as he said. He's gone beyond the call, making sure that we hold on to the right representation to the 3rd Congressional District, and a big part of it is tonight using your facility here. It's beautiful. Thank you very much. I want to thank my wife, Stacia. My wife, in August 4th, it will be 34 years. It's standing right there. And my son, my middle son, is here somewhere. He's actually in between his 2nd and 3rd year law school at Mizzou, and he's got his fiance Ann here too. Somewhere there. They get married up so much. But it is a family affair. My family's been very supportive. But you know, it takes a lot of support to run a race like this, and there are a lot of sacrifices, and nobody does that more than Blaine. You know, it's interesting, back in 2008, when I first got elected to the Senate, Blaine and I shared a campaign office. And that's when he first got elected to Congress 16 years ago, and I got elected to the Senate. Term limits in the Senate, so I was out after 8 years, and Blaine's, after 16 years, has paid his dues and is ready to do something else. And he touched on it, but it is a very, very difficult time in Washington, D.C. right now. And for those of you even here in Jefferson City, you can see what happened at the Capitol this year, and things are very, very difficult. Because the reality is, if you want to represent people and get things done, it's extremely hard work. You have to make relationships with people, you have to read a whole lot, you have to spend hours and hours doing a lot of work. And if you don't want to do that, but you just want to get the attention, then you just say no to everything, and then you run out in front of the Capitol and you take a selfie, and you tell everybody, I said no. Well, fine, anyone can do that. It takes 15 minutes to do it. But if you want law enforcement, and you want safe roads, and you want the University of Missouri, and you want those things that require someone to do the work, you have to have somebody who's going to do the work. Agriculture is another one. We look at how important agriculture is in this state, and the relationships not only with the Missouri General Assembly, but with our congressional delegation in D.C., our senators, and our representatives. Those things matter. They matter to everyday life, to people that live in this community and work and want to see their lives prosper and see their families prosper. So I'm looking forward to going to Congress and making sure that I can have those fights, because we are in an environment that's going to be a fight. And I'll tell you, nothing is crazier than the debate we saw the other night. And I think if you're a Republican or a Democrat, I think when you woke up the next morning, the one thing that came into your mind is who the hell is running this country? And again, I think that's the case whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, because it was clear that Joe Biden is not running the country, which begs the question, who is running the country? Well, there are people clearly in the White House that work for Joe Biden that are. We don't know who they are, but that should not be the case. But when we look at Congress and we look at the things that they're responsible for, they need to step up. And I know Blaine has stepped up. But right now, with the relationships that exist and the difficulty, and it's not just Blaine. I've talked to other people who have recently retired from our delegation as well, and that environment is different. But for those of you that know me and those of you that don't, when I was in the Senate for 8 years, I will throw elbows. And it doesn't mean you throw elbows when you don't have to. But what it means is you run on your morals and you run on your principles. And when something needs to get done, you got to stand up and you got to have those fights. And 16 years of that is a long time and would make anyone tired. But I will tell you, ask me in 16 years, hopefully I get 16 years back. That's what matters to the district. It is a pretty bright line between me and my opponent. As Blaine said, he doesn't live in the district, which just shocks people. But the U.S. Constitution defines what it takes to run for Congress, and a residency requirement is not one of them. And several states over the years have tried to pass legislation in their states that say, well, if you live in our state, you have to live in a congressional district you run for. The Supreme Court throws those out and says it's not in the Constitution, you can't do it. So, but I think there's no better understanding of that than saying, how can you ask people to vote for you if you can't vote for yourself? How can you be a representative, which is what the job is of a group, when you're not part of that group? And I think that makes him unfit to actually run for it, but he's in this race, and it will be a tight race. But we're going to win. We feel very confident. And I think that we have the better message. Blaine's staff has been wonderful. Blaine has been helping me, and we've gone around the district, made some great relationships with people all over the 3rd Congressional District. So I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. It does take resources, and that's the worst part of the job always is asking people for money.
I know Kurt doesn't want to do this, but I know you all give a check and kind of do one more. Okay? This race is that important. Or take the damn check and put another zero on the end of it. What else bank will take it? Which one's John's will? Very important. We've got to have a resource. I know everybody is all in for Mike Field, and I am too. But this is a really, really important race. We've got to have the resources. And this guy is working his butt off. We're going to make sure he just comes to the finish line. I'm all in as well.
Well, exactly what he said. So. I will mention, because you see the debate the other night, you see the things that are going on, and things aren't all that bleak. I mean, obviously, my race is one race. There are a lot of races that are going to be very important August 6th for that primary. But you know what? We have a lot of good Republican candidates, and I think the right people get elected. We're really going to have great people representing the state of Missouri, both at the state level and federal level. And it's important that we work together to get those things done for agriculture, for business, for finance, which Blaine's done a fantastic job for on his committee. So thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming. And we're going to have that fight. We're going to win. And I look forward to a victory on August 6th. So thank you very much.
Well,
I don't know if I can get up there. I can set the foot back.